Dubai was glowing with money, power, and secrets. But the moment Meghan Markle stepped into that city, the shine cracked wide open. What should have been another polished celebrity arrival suddenly turned into whispers, cold faces, and a silence so sharp it felt dangerous. In a place where private jets line the runway like trophies and every movement is planned with military precision, something went wrong, very wrong.
Meghan Markle is always attempting to, shall we say, build relationships with very, very, very rich.
This woman is nothing but a publicity whore. It's a term of art. We broke the news that she had Prince Harry on her vision board when she was younger. That was her goal, #goal, to marry Prince Harry. So it was all about getting the title. She's done that now. Now she's just stuck with this depressed ginger who has absolutely no family, no friends.
And Dubai is not a place where chaos casually happens. It is built on control. Every guest is measured, every entrance choreographed, every powerful name handled with precision. So when insiders began murmuring that a senior Dubai Sheikh had quietly raised concerns before her arrival, people paid attention instantly, because in those circles, no one speaks lightly. If concern is voiced at that level, it means the story has already moved beyond gossip and into serious territory. Then the pressure grew behind closed doors. Calls were made, questions multiplied. Doors that were expected to swing open suddenly seemed heavier than steel. The same woman who once publicly criticized palace life, who described royal walls as cold and harsh, was now reportedly searching for the very kind of backing she once distanced herself from. And that contradiction alone had people watching closely. Was this confidence or desperation?
Meghan Markle is truly one of the most dangerous public figures on the world stage at the moment. She needs to be stopped.
Because these billionaires can sense one thing. When you're not looking for a partner, you're looking for a solution. And that's obviously the lane that Meghan Markle's in now. She doesn't make really her own money. This whole Netflix thing is just a ruse. We all know this is made up just to give her something.
Then came the moment that stunned everyone. A short statement linked to Prince William reportedly dropped like thunder. No warm wording, no protective language, no room for misunderstanding. Meghan Markle would not receive diplomatic sponsorship. She no longer represented the crown in any official capacity. Just like that, a line was drawn in public view. Not quietly, not softly, publicly, and the shockwaves were immediate. For years, titles created assumptions, access, influence, privilege. But now the message seemed brutally clear. Marriage to Prince Harry did not equal royal authority. Royal names were not a golden key. Palace protection was not available for private ventures. It was a brutal reminder that glamour and status are not the same as power. And in elite circles, everyone understands the difference. The palace reportedly followed with an even sharper clarification. Her travel, affiliations, and business activity had no connection to the royal household. Diplomatic matters belonged to official government channels only. On paper, it sounded formal. In reality, it sounded like a door slamming shut. The future king was not whispering through aides. The message was direct, visible, and impossible to spin. Imagine the scene. Cameras waiting, luxury handlers prepared, designers polished every detail. But beneath that image, tension was boiling, because the real question was no longer about celebrity style or business meetings. It was simple. What happened in Dubai that triggered a reaction this strong? Why did one arrival create this much resistance? Why did a city famous for elite hospitality suddenly feel cold?
Well, that makes, you just go, and Harry's probably thinking, I don't want the press anywhere near there. But she loves to, this is how need to be a wannabe. It's that wannabe need for fame. And therein lies the problem. And for her, it's a drug for her.
She will find a way to bounce past him to some other taker who might actually just love the guy. She will take her royal kids, who can still go by prince and princess, and
sources connected to border and diplomatic circles claimed expectations had been high before touchdown. A smooth VIP passage, no delays, no friction, straight from aircraft to high-level meetings with investors and luxury executives. The kind of seamless treatment reserved for names considered valuable. But when she entered the terminal, something changed instantly. You could almost feel it. She reportedly arrived styled to perfection, surrounded by a tight entourage moving with the confidence of people who expected the script to go exactly as planned. But then came immigration, and the air changed. What should have been routine suddenly became slow, careful, deliberate. The smiles disappeared. The movement tightened. It felt as if something had already been flagged before she even stepped forward. No shouting, no public embarrassment. That is not how powerful systems operate. Instead, officers calmly approached and guided her aside. Questions that began as standard reportedly deepened. Passports were checked again, details reviewed. Silence filled the room like smoke. No one had to raise their voice because the silence itself was doing all the work.
A life that she's winning and she's doing all these great things, but the reality is not that. The reality is she's a joke. It's embarrassing at this point. It's like, oh my gosh, for real, Meghan, you did that? You're gonna keep doing this? I mean, wow.
Ruined Harry. Now that the once carefree, fun-loving prince has turned into a miserable moaner, lashing out from the depths of his paranoia at a world he thinks is conspiring.
Then came the decision. Fast, clean, final. Within roughly an hour, according to reports, she was escorted back through the terminal and directed toward the next available outbound flight. No celebration. No ceremony, no red carpet recovery, just a swift reversal that transformed a glamorous visit into an international headline before sunset. And that is where the humiliation deepened. Reports claimed royal connections may have been referenced during the process, perhaps in hope that doors would reopen. But nothing moved, nothing softened. The same institution once described as unsupportive now carried no visible weight in that room. That irony was impossible to ignore. Observers began asking a darker question. Had this been decided before the plane even landed? Was the review merely procedure or confirmation of a conclusion already reached? In places where image and control matter deeply, reputational risk can outweigh celebrity fame every time. And if that is what happened here, then this was never about travel. It was about trust. Then another layer surfaced. During tense exchanges, reports suggested 3 personal points were emphasized: marriage to Prince Harry, motherhood tied to royal lineage, and family-related school registration details. Why would ordinary paperwork suddenly attract attention? Why would standard details trigger deeper scrutiny? That is when insiders say the atmosphere became even more serious. Because once routine questions become deeper questions, the script has changed. And when the script changes in a city like Dubai, outcomes can turn ruthless in seconds. By then, messages were reportedly already moving fast toward Buckingham circles. And once those messages moved, the story was no longer local. It had become global. Once those reports reached royal circles, the response was said to be colder than anyone expected. No rescue mission, no discreet intervention, no powerful hand reaching behind the curtain to smooth things over. Instead, the message that allegedly came back was simple and sharp. This was her matter to handle alone. That landed like ice. Because for years, critics argued the royal link would always remain a shield. In Dubai, that shield appeared to vanish in real time. People watching the situation closely began asking the obvious question. If something as routine as school enrollment details could trigger deeper review, what else was being examined quietly in the background? Why did normal paperwork suddenly become sensitive? In elite environments, small inconsistencies often matter more than loud scandals. A missing detail, a conflicting explanation, a purpose that doesn't fully match the paperwork, those are the kinds of things that turn routine entry into a closed-door review. And once that happens, status means very little. Then another reported blow arrived. Princess Anne was said to support an even firmer line. Any attempt to link private ventures, business dealings, or personal travel to the crown would be rejected. Royal titles, according to circulating claims, were not to be used as leverage for promotions or private gain. If true, that was more than clarification. It was containment. It suggested the institution wanted zero confusion, zero gray area, and zero association. And suddenly, the image built in Montecito began looking less solid. For years, it represented freedom, reinvention, California glamour, and a new power couple story. But cracks were reportedly showing. Property issues, payment disputes, paperwork complications, whispers they were not consistently staying there anymore. Details like these do not explode overnight. They drip slowly, then all at once. The carefully managed backdrop of luxury and control started feeling unstable. Then came the business empire questions. The once celebrated Spotify partnership, reportedly valued around $25 million, had already ended after limited output and creative friction. What was promoted as a major media comeback delivered only a single podcast season. That gap between hype and result became impossible impossible to ignore. The promise was giant, the product was small, and in entertainment, nothing damages momentum faster than expectations unmet. The Netflix relationship also began attracting whispers. Once described as a massive breakthrough deal, it no longer carried the same shine. Viewership concerns, slow follow-through, internal caution around brand risk, industry chatter suggested enthusiasm had cooled. There was no dramatic public breakup, just something more dangerous, quiet distance. In Hollywood, silence often says more than statements ever could. Then attention turned to the Archewell Foundation. Reports claimed regulatory attention, reviews of filings, and questions around internal payments and partnerships. Whether minor or major, the effect was the same. Pressure stacking from multiple directions at once. When one issue appears, it can be managed. When 5 arrive together, the narrative changes. Suddenly, it stops looking like bad luck and starts looking like a pattern. Even relationships once seen as unshakable were dragged into the conversation. Tyler Perry, long viewed as a major supporter during the couple's move to the United States, became linked to rumors of strain and misunderstandings. Whether exaggerated or not, the symbolism mattered. When former allies become subjects of speculation, people assume the circle is tightening. Meanwhile, insiders described what they called a 4-point internal risk assessment behind Dubai's decision: reputation risk, influence concerns, media disruption, financial clarity. Whether formally documented or not, the logic felt believable to many observers because Dubai protects image with fierce discipline. If officials believed a celebrity arrival could trigger chaos, cameras, controversy, or conflicting narratives during sensitive events, the choice may have been easy. Celebrity value drops quickly when weighed against state control. The first factor was image. In a city built on polished presentation, controversy can be treated like a leak in the wall. The second was influence. Would global connections be used to pressure normal procedure? The third was media attention. A high-profile arrival can turn an airport into a circus within minutes. The fourth was financial purpose. Did the stated reason for travel fully align with meetings and sponsorship details? If any of those boxes raised concern, the tone of the review would change immediately. And then it was over. Entry clearance reportedly pulled. Passport returned. Visit finished before it began. What was meant to be a high-status international move became a worldwide embarrassment within hours. Videos spread. Commentators pounced. Analysts called it a turning point. The idea of an unstoppable post-royal rise suddenly looked fragile. Back in California, damage control was said to begin fast. Strategy meetings, legal consultations, messaging reviews. Every public step suddenly mattered more because once a brand built on confidence suffers visible rejection, recovery becomes harder than expansion. People stop asking who admires you and start asking who still believes in you. And where did Prince Harry stand in all this? That became the next obsession. Reports of tension, late-night conversations, long silences, and diverging priorities fueled endless speculation. He once appeared as the rebel prince willing to break tradition. Now he looked trapped between two worlds, the institution he left and the chaos he cannot fully control. That is why this story refuses to die. It is not just about an airport. It is about power without position, titles without authority, fame without guaranteed access, and a public image facing its hardest stress test yet. Can Meghan Markle rebuild momentum after this? Can Prince Harry steady the storm around him? Or was Dubai the moment the illusion finally cracked for everyone to see? Because if this was only one denied visit, why does it still feel like the beginning of something much bigger?